Hello. Late night stream. Just got back from rehearsal and got about 3/4 of the way through this article. Saw how excited Jeremy McGowan was. Got a personal message from Steve Camion, and then I saw what he just posted. So this is pretty exciting, and it's pretty damn validating, and it's a little bit of I told you so moment. Thank you, Slick. Yes, this is Dr. Delight. The song is called Like Honey. So if you like it, check out his stuff. He makes some really awesome mixes. UAP Chinese Balloon Lover. Hey, what are you happening? Lou Elizondo passed away early this morning. Dana Chanel. Well, so much for my catnap. I'm too excited now. Same here. I was going to go straight to sleep, but I drank a late night coffee and I'm a little wired right now. So let's do this, guys. Welcome. Hello. All right. So, oh boy. What a crazy day. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the links below if you want to support with the almighty dollar and your hard-earned money. Much appreciated, but not needed. Again, like, share, subscribe, totally free. Ring the bell, that way you're notified anytime we go live like this. Holy cow, what a day. So I still haven't seen the ABC footage. I'm even wondering, now that I'm talking about it, I wonder if it's up. Sean Kirkpatrick interview. Let's see here. 3 months ago, 1 month ago. Let's do filters. Last hour. 34 minutes ago. No, this isn't that. Let me try just straight up Googling it. Maybe we can. 20 hours ago, 3 hours ago. Let's see what happens here. See how long this video is here. Maybe we can watch it right now if they put it up on abc.com. ABC News, that is. All right, let's actually bring down the music. Not that I'm not loving Dr. Delight. B. Baker with Shaking Silly Goose. Hello, Alex G. You guys, thank you again so much for being here. Okay. So let me go ahead and turn my levels back up. So when this comes back on, we can. Okay, so yeah, it looks like they put the whole thing online. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and watch it. We're going to do our disclaimers and stuff like that first. But let's see. What do we talk about first? Holy cow. Okay, let's talk about obviously the reason why I started the show. And this is also exciting. We get to actually do this live. Holy cow. I did not think we were going to do 2 shows in one night, but looks like that's exactly what we might be doing here. Okay, so this is the ABC News special with Dr. Kirkpatrick. We're going to get to that in a second. So let's go to Twitter real quick. Actually, this is it's a tweet I wanted to send out. To get shareable link. Let's go ahead and tweet this out right here. There we go. All right, so let's do this. Let's just look at my messages. Let me put this over here real quick and just go into my messages and get the link, so that way you guys don't see anything you're not supposed to see. So Okay. So let's go ahead and also shut off a couple of these fair use. There we go. Okay. So this is a tweet that Jeremy McGowan sent out right before I went to my rehearsal, and I got about halfway through the article, 3/4 of the way through the article before I had to leave. But for what I had read so far, it's this tweet is right on the money. So hashtag UFO and UAP Twitter. This article by Art Levine in the Washington Spectator is a masterpiece of in-your-face facts, reviews, and foreshadowing of things to come. Bravo and well done. The foreshadowing of the potential criminal investigation by the SEC against Ttsa, as reported here, is another confirmation of the accuracy the articles I wrote last year, specifically the section highlighting in the image below. Lou himself had mentioned the misuse of investor money to Tom DeLonge's movie. I've always said and will maintain that what I wrote in those articles is honest and happened. Again, guys, I have been emphasizing these articles that Jeremy McGowan has written. I've been told you to pay attention to the names in his articles, and anything in quotes is probably word for word. And chances are it's probably on tape, recorded somewhere. And this article beautifully lays out, just like Stephen Greenstreet has done, how we got from OSAP all the way to today. And it beautifully lays out a lot of information came out today about Ttsa. But let's read this one clip. I'm not going to read the whole article. We would be here for at least 45 minutes just going through the whole thing. But I'm going to link it as soon as this is the article here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and link it in the title of the show down below. Oops. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. Link to Spectator. Oh no. All right, so it's in the description below, so you guys have it there. All right. So let's read the part that really stuck out to McGowan. One thing that kept replaying in my head was a conversation I listened to in Lou's kitchen, where I, Sean, Lou, and a few others were discussing our project and making statement as to how this was, quote, this was what Ttsa was supposed to have accomplished, end quote. Ironically, this conversation would come full circle in a later conversation with studio executives from HBO Max. That comparison inevitably leads to someone asking Lou, what happened to Ttsa? Lou's response was rather shocking. Now, please remember that I am paraphrasing in this next directly following section, and the quote isn't exact, but the gist is, this is from, I believe, McGowan's article, okay? Lou told us that Ttsa collapsed because Tom DeLonge's sister was mismanaging the organization and that Tom had taken the investor money and used it to make a movie. Interestingly enough, after saying that it would likely be that, quote, Tom would go to jail, that topic was dropped. The conversation then concentrated on how Lou never received messages through Tom's sister and how he missed many opportunities to speak and be interviewed. I found it a bit odd how the concern was about scheduling and not the accusation of embezzlement and SEC violations. But the nature of our talks was like this, where seemingly important topics were only briefly touched on in favor of deeper dives into meaningless areas. Nothing further regarding Tom was ever said, but I got the distinct impression that Tom was acting like a loose cannon. The topic was never brought up again. However, I would and do reflect on this often and wonder if this was true, how the SEC hasn't taken action, why Tom was able to make his movie, and how the current iteration of Ttsa is still soliciting funds from investors. It didn't line up, but then again, not much ever did or ever had. So take this with a grain of salt. It may have happened as he stated, or it may have been a deflection. I don't know either way. And again, this is something that Jeremy McGowan wrote. And so Art Levine puts out this article, and he tags UFO and UAP Twitter. He hashtags David Grush and his UFO allies, Lou Elizondo, Tom DeLonge, Chris Mellon, facing prospect of SEC Gov probe over investor fraud for false alien tech claims during Ttsa era. At Representative Tim Burchett and Gillibrand, taxpayer waste ? And then also, when you go to his site, there's he also, I believe, right, no, not there, let me see here, right here, 5 hours ago, tag Tom DeLonge and young Jamie, aka Fingers, producer of the Joe Rogan podcast, Toe Theories of Everything, Jeff Knox, dark journalist, Post Disclosure, the UFO Joe, everyone. He tagged everyone, Mick West, to check out this article. So again, this is an op-ed. This is a really long article. And there's a couple things that I'll point out that I absolutely loved about it. And he lays out perfectly everybody who's reporting on this, everybody who's commented on this, everyone. He goes into the background of especially Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis and the entire Skinwalker Ranch, all of it. Everything that especially I've been sort of coming to in the last few weeks here when it comes to, oh, this is just OSAP, but on a bigger scale. This article is a complete validation of that theory. And in this article, we come to find out that there has been a lawsuit brought up, and it was filed. Steve Cambion sent me this in a message. The United States District Court of Southern District of California, Securities and Exchange Commission versus C. Chris Herndon, Chris Mellon, Harold Puthoff, Christopher Miser, Jim Simivan, Carrie DeLong, Lisa Clifford, Louis Tomasino, Luis Elizondo, Tom DeLonge, Steve Justice, and To the Stars Academy PBC. This is a lawsuit filed by the Securities and Exchange Commission for basically running a techno scam against investors, lying to investors, stealing their money, paying off the board members when they essentially separated, and then spending the rest of the money on a movie. And then changing the kind of company. It went from a science and exploration company to strictly an entertainment company once everyone left. This is absolutely wild. And B. Baker's right when she says SEC doesn't lose these things. Those guys are all screwed, not just DeLonge. if this turns out, I mean, I fought against this with. I remember. I look. I stand corrected. Steve Cambion was right. This was a techno scam. He called this months ago. Months ago, Steve Cambion was talking about. Maybe even longer than that. Maybe a couple of years ago. Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me if Stephen Cambion has been screaming this at the top of his lungs for a couple of years. And we all kind of just ignored it. We're like, I mean, for me, it was like companies do that all the time. Startups do that all the time, where it's a startup company, they take a whole bunch of investor money and they invest it in the wrong places. The way this has been laid out, and I have a feeling that Steve Cambion was a part of making sure that the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, was aware of this techno scam. And it was there's again, like, now you can see the grift. Now it is clear as day. This is all about money. Clear as day. Clear as day. You take your credibility in exchange for clicks, book publishing rights, TV shows, and government contracts. And Cal Korff was a big part. So he is the skeptic investigator, and he's seeking to thwart the rush towards wasteful new searches for recovered alien spacecraft and bodies. He is filing an ethics complaint this week against leading congressional advocates, including Senator Schumer, Gillibrand, and Rubio, charging them with spending taxpayer funds based on lies and myths. Gillibrand's office didn't reply to this reporter's email and phone inquiries on an alleged fraud and waste in previous government UFO-related programs. He's talking about OSAP. This is OSAP all over again. It's just the senators and the congressmen are not as familiar with how that was a runaway pork program that wasted a lot of money on spooky ghost stories. I mean, this is such a detailed story. It goes into Nick Pope and how he like, it breaks down all of these figureheads and who they are. It does a very good job at letting you know. Australian journalist Ross Coulthart, most recently, Coulthart conducted the interview on with David Grush for News Nation. I forgot to add this part. But you know what? Let me just read this. Just listen to this. In fact, he's looking for fresh new ways to bring UFO dollars, all for the public good. He co-founded a new company, Copernicus Space Corporation, that aimed to build tiny AI-based swarms of drones that can track the objects, possibly UFOs. He's talking about Avi Loeb, by the way, in the skies above us. Among his visionary scientific advisors is the Stanford University immunologist and UFO barnstormer Gary Nolan, who has lent his academic credentials to a variety of UFO disclosure crusades and projects, including a documentary on definitive evidence alien technology by the disgraced journalist Ross Coulthart. Most recently, Coulthart conducted the interview with David Grush for News Nation. So when you clicked on the disgraced link, you find this story. And again, this is like the rumored reason why his contract was not renewed by the 60 Minutes investigative team over in Australia, because Ross Coulthart made up a whole bunch of lies about parliament members being child emmers. And it turned out that he completely fabricated the entire eyewitness part testimony of this and almost got people thrown in jail. And 60 Minutes had to do a complete correction on this story. Ross Coulthart is not the award-winning journalist that he puts himself out there as. He's not as credible as you think. This is just one story about Ross Coulthart. There's more, where he's used as a shill to propagate false stories for government entities, essentially. He's one of the worst journalists out there. There was something really wild in here. This is actually kind of funny about Travis Taylor. Meanwhile, skeptics face growing threats from UFO zealots, and unconstrained media outlets and self-serving public figures have exploited UFO narratives that help fuel anti-government paranoia. For instance, Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has reached out beyond to embrace the anti-vax conspiracy movement to climb on board the UFO bandwagon, promising on day one to open up all the alien and UFO intelligence. He goes into Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Kean. This is great. For example, in another article, let me make sure, yeah. Published in the Times, Blumenthal and Keene indicated that a still ongoing classified Pentagon UFO program was studying possible extraterrestrial materials. For an on-the-record confirmation, the reporter cited the Outer Edge astrophysicist Eric Davis, a Pentagon contractor and an ally of Hal Puthoff, one of the founders of Ttsa. Davis told Blumenthal and Keene he gave classified briefings to Pentagon and Senate Armed Services committees about retrievals from off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. As noted, skeptic Robert Schaefer has suggested Davis might as well brief them about the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy, for which he has an equal amount of proof. None. And here we go. Chris Blitz, yeah, I haven't made it this far in the interview, but not everyone gives the creators and messengers of these harmful mythologies a free pass. The skeptic Steve Cambion, host of Truth Seekers, a video podcast that has showcased these murder incidents, asks if people are feeding the public a stream of mostly fake stories, do they have a responsibility? Ttsa, it turns out, not only capitalized on the hype surrounding UFOs, the company also worked to generate it in the first place. The New York Times helped launch the new UFO mania over 5 years ago with its bombshell report about a $22 million UFO research program. The Times article was a part of a series first published in December of 2017 that featured mysterious alloys in the 3 Navy videos purported to show UFOs, including the Tic Tac shaped object. All 3 videos were first obtained by the Ttsa through Elizondo and Mellon. The videos were later thoroughly debunked. Visual expert and noted skeptic Mick West for years has offered common sense visual explanations of rotating cameras and other visual effects for all 3 videos featured in the Times. Explanations that the Pentagon ultimately accepted for most of its released military videos. The Tic Tac, West said, was more plausibly a faraway jet. Like, see, I don't think most lawmakers know that. I really, really, really don't. I really don't. Most lawmakers do not know that. And I think if they did, if they really looked at this, I think they would be pretty much in the same place we're all at, which is, oh, this is a techno scam. This is a reintroduction of OSAP just under a different name with bigger ambitions. This is absolutely wild. I mean, I did say, over a year ago, if Lou Elizondo is lying, he's in for a world of hurt. And if he's lying to the SEC and he's taking money, if he took money, because he claims publicly that he never made a dime off Ttsa, he actually lost money, is his claim. If it turns out that he got paid in the millions, that would be that would shock me. But clearly he did something, because his name is on this. This is real. How are you gonna hate on this? There's 2 songs that come to mind. I Fought the Law and the Law Won, and Bad Boys are what you gonna do, what you gonna do when they come for you. Boy, oh boy, I am so interested to see what comes out of this. Very, 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 very interested. And you know, there's a reason why Steve Cambion is getting referenced in this article. He's been saying this for a couple of years, man. Unreal. Unreal. I highly recommend everyone go read this article. Hands down, the absolute best roadmap to everything that is going wrong, and all of the red flags and all of our hunches and all of the things that we've been saying is laid out beautifully in this article. Beautifully. Every single lawmaker should read this op-ed. Every single one. And it's not just an article. Every single one of these little orange words is a link. It's sourced. So he's not just making this stuff up. He's using examples of public things that these people have said and done, and the books that they've published, and the lawmakers that they're pushing to pass these laws and these budgets. Everything is sourced here. This is amazing. This is the thing that you save this article to save every time somebody wants to get caught up on this entire scam. Right here. Unbelievable. unbelievable. So, who does Elizondo work for, and how is his activism funded? That's a good question. Billions missing in secret projects. I mean, it's a slam dunk case. Most likely misled investors, took their money, not use it for anything you described in your registration statement. I mean, it is absolutely wild. Polls are uneducated, manipulated, or playing the game, Michael Huntington says. B. Baker is convinced this is big, like that these Ttsa turds are done. Cameron T says scam city. Orchestrated and long planned, says Michael Huntington. Dude, Congress got trolled so hard with this hearing. I agree with that, Cameron T. Krang. Oh, poor guy. He's sad. I'm not sure what to think anymore. Excited for the hearings next week. It's like you're going through the emotions, man. You're sad and excited all in one sentence, 2 sentences. I mean, yeah, the comments from you guys are great. And yeah, the timing of this, man, holy shit. All right. Obviously, we're going to keep a close eye on this exchange commission investigation. That's big. I agree, B. Baker. It's big. It's big. Tried to get Steve Cambion to come on tonight for a late night show. I think it's pretty late over there. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, so it's totally understandable. But I mean, I had to talk about this. I just had to. I couldn't go to sleep without talking about this. And now we've also got this to talk about. So I haven't seen this at all. This will be an actual real-time reaction. I'm also going to put my fair use banners up and say fair use. This is transformative work. We are educating the public and critiquing the videos we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. Again, so this is ABC News. I'm going to go ahead and include the description for this entire video in the titles here, or in the description below. So let me go ahead and put that in there right now for you guys, so I don't forget. Let's see here. It's in there. We talk about this. Okay. Link to ABC News. Oh. Paste. There we go. All right. Updated. All right. So now it's in the description there. So let's check it out. Let's see what Pentagon UFO investigator, extraterrestrial technical surprise is top concern. In an exclusive interview, ABC News' Devin Dyer sits down with Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, the top U.S. official investigating hundreds of unidentified aerial phenomena.
Flying objects have been an obsession for decades, spawning speculation and wild conspiracy theories. But are any of these mysterious UFO sightings proof of life beyond Earth? Tonight, after generations of investigation and theories, the government is pulling back the curtain, trying to separate fact from fiction. And in our prime focus, we have an exclusive first look inside the Pentagon's new effort to find answers, and the first TV interview with the man tasked with running it all. Our Devin Dwyer reports.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at it fly.
After decades of mysterious sightings, the Pentagon's top UFO investigator speaking exclusively to ABC News.
What surprised you most since you took over?
There are a number of things that surprised me.
The government probe covering hundreds of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, like this declassified U.S. Navy video.
Okay, so far, no X-Files music, which is nice. They're using, obviously, footage that we've already seen before, but at least it's not, I don't recall seeing any Jeremy Corbell footage yet. Maybe, this problem with these videos is they're not very great to fast forward and rewind.
Like this declassified U.S. Navy video.
Oh my gosh, dude.
The unusual object flying quickly through restricted.
So we know, obviously, that this is only moving 40 miles per hour. So let's see if they address this in this video.
Airspace off the East Coast in 2015. Some phenomena shocking everyday Americans too.
I swear to God, this is not a joke.
A Las Vegas family last month called 911.
Okay, not a good start so far. Are we still referencing this Las Vegas Police Department footage? Again, if they don't add clarity to these clips, which I don't think they're going to do in 8 minutes, but we'll see.
911 adamant extraterrestrial creatures had landed in their backyard.
They're like 9
Wow.
foot, 10 foot tall. They look like aliens to us.
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles.
One whistleblower is so convinced, he says the government has pieces of alien spacecraft under lock and key.
Yeah, they're sophisticatedly engineered, certainly not by humans.
And Hollywood is feeding the fascination.
Now that's a proper introduction.
So do aliens exist? And are those unidentified aerial phenomena evidence they visited Earth? To separate fact from fiction, we went to the man leading a search for answers from inside the Pentagon.
I'm a long-term intelligence officer, scientist, and military officer.
Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, in his first television interview after a year on the job, told us everything is on the table.
What keeps you up at night?
Technical surprise. And that could be adversary technical surprise or extraterrestrial technical surprise.
Kirkpatrick leads the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, created by Congress last year to detect, identify, and attribute mysterious objects of interest in the air, in outer space, and even underwater.
It's a big job.
Yes.
The top priorities, he says, are mitigating threats to the safety of...
All right, so far he said about 7 words.
military personnel and dispelling myths.
What's the most common misconception people have of UAPs or of the work you're doing?
That they're all the same thing and they're all extraterrestrial. And neither of those are true.
His office is investigating more than 800 cases of
Go
potential
on.
UAPs reported by military pilots and service members. Things like this video from 2019, Navy sailors recording glowing triangles above them, now believed to be ordinary drones distorted by night vision goggles. Many reports involve unusual metallic...
Thank God they said that. Can we just listen to that one more time just for Jeremy Corbell?
Sailors recording glowing triangles above them, now believed to be ordinary drones distorted by night vision goggles.
Ordinary drones distorted by night vision goggles. Got that, Jeremy Corbell? You got that, pal? Can we put this one to bed along with 29 Palms and Bob Lazar and every other fucking story that you've shilled to us?
Many reports involve unusual metallic spheres seen flowing
Let's listen to it one more time. And what I love about it is his stupid watermark is nowhere to be seen. This actually looks like the clearest version of the footage that we've seen, because they actually got it directly from the U.S. Navy, because that's what it's tagged with. Look how clean that looks. So much cleaner.
Many reports involve unusual metallic spheres seen floating in the sky, but most have been later identified as weather or spy balloons.
We have to go through the rigor of taking each one, matching it against our known objects and known catalogs, and then reviewing that, peer reviewing that, making sure that everybody's in agreement.
But there's not an explanation for everything, most notably the so-called Tic-Tac incident off the California coast in 2004.
I can tell you, I think it was not from this world.
David Fravor is a retired Navy F-18 pilot who spotted the object seeming to move at impossible speeds. He spoke with ABC News in 2017.
We get a call from USS Princeton. He gives us a bearing range and altitude report. He's calling a contact force that they want us to investigate. So as we start driving out there, I said, what are we looking for? And he said, we don't know. He said, we've seen these objects, and they hang out at 20,000, then they go straight back up, above 80,000 and disappear. There's 2 people in each jet, so 4 heads, 8 eyeballs, and we start looking around. And right about that time, I was like, dude, do you see that? I go, what is that? So we're looking down, and there's a disturbance in the water. Right next to it was this little white object that looks like a tic-tac, and it's just above the surface of the water, and it's moving around left, right, forward, back, just random, no controlled thing. There is no rotor wash, there is no jet wash. I say, hey, I'm gonna go down and check it out. We start coming down, so now we're in a clockwise flow, going from 12 to 3, and it starts going from 6 to 9. And it's coming up, and we're going down. We start to cut across, it rapidly accelerates, climbs past our altitude, and disappears. That's the last we saw of it.
What's your best guess of what happened there?
It's really hard to guess on this, and I don't like to guess.
So have you hit a dead end with this one then?
The more things that I see that resemble a tic-tac, then I can get more and more information about what that is.
Kirkpatrick says between 95 and 98% of cases reviewed by his office are readily explainable. Large birds, balloons, debris, or drones, but a small number remain a mystery.
So that 2 to 5%, which are anomalous incidents, which you're still looking into, could potentially be extraterrestrial activity?
So we are going to follow our data and our investigations wherever it goes, right? So I have a full range of hypotheses.
So you can't rule it out?
I can't rule it out, but I don't have any evidence that says that yet.
Most Americans believe in
Okay, that was nice to hear. Obviously, scientifically, no one could ever rule it out. But so far, there's no evidence that proves that. So that's the facts. 2 to 5% cannot be explained. Can that 2 to 5% be explained, or is that covered by foreign or domestic tech? I don't think they're going to ask that question in this.
Intelligent life exists beyond Earth, and a majority say UAPs under investigation are likely proof of contact. Some former Pentagon insiders claim the government has more evidence than it's publicly acknowledged. Kirkpatrick says he's seen nothing to back up those claims.
You can say categorically you've seen no convincing,
seen no
confirmable evidence
convincing.
of intact spacecraft kept by the U.S. government.
No, I have seen nothing that leads me to that conclusion.
Is it possible there is some secret program that
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Finally. Damn, dude. Now we need a lawmaker to say that. And here's the thing, is the congressional committee that's meeting on the 26th, they say that the Pentagon hasn't said this. That they won't just answer the question. And there it is, right there for you. That's what they're saying. There's no proof. And this is not just Kirkpatrick. He's the head of the office, but there are a lot of people that are working along with Kirkpatrick, not only from NASA, but within the Aero office. They've been there for a year. We know for sure that they've talked to 30 service members that have come and have been investigated and interviewed by Kirkpatrick and his team. And he's telling you right here.
evidence of intact?
Kirkpatrick says he's seen nothing to back up those claims.
You can say categorically you've seen no convincing,
I have seen
confirmable
no
evidence of
convincing.
intact spacecraft kept by the U.S. government.
No, I have
No.
seen nothing that leads me to
Nothing.
that conclusion.
Is it possible there is some secret program that you're just not aware of?
I don't think so. I have access to anything and everything I need.
That's why Grush is pissed off. That's why Elizondo's pissed off. That's why Mellon is pissed off. That's why they're trying to change the language of this bill so many different times. That's why they're adding to it. Because they hate this answer that Kirkpatrick is giving. They absolutely hate it. Not because it's not true, but because if this guy puts the kibosh on the spending, that's it. Americans for Safe Aerospace, bye-bye. Galileo Project, bye-bye. Tim Gallaudet and whatever fundraising you're doing, bye-bye. It all goes away.
Why do you think these whistleblowers are coming forward?
Well, one, I think the recent law, which extended whistleblower protections to them and named AARO as the authorized disclosure authority, opens the door for them to come and tell us exactly what they think they saw or know about.
You believe them?
I believe that they believe what they're telling me, and my job is it's not a question of belief, right? It's a question of what can I go research.
Investigating UAPs has bipartisan.
Oh, man, this is great. Okay, I take it back. That was a great, sobering moment. It really was. I feel bad for Kirkpatrick because I know he's getting a ton of threats. I know he's getting a lot of, again, like this absolute maniac. He was so pissed off. And he also called out Air Force Secretary of the Air Force Frank Kendall for derelict of duty. I wonder who told him to say that. Listen to this garbage. Listen to this propaganda-fed bullshit that this guy talks about.
What kind of country do we live in when United States Air Force leadership ignores safety of flight concerns from its pilots, forcing them to whistleblow?
They're not ignoring them. They're making people aware of these issues. They're making it open for them to come whistleblow. They're doing everything in their power to have these people come forward and tell their stories. Nobody's forcing anyone to whistleblow.
What kind of country do we live in when
what kind of country do we live in? This guy's making it sound like it's like the most disgraceful thing ever to happen in the history of America. This is a political action committee that slams the shit out of Trump and his policies while at the same time platforming Tim Burchett with the exact same policies and rhetoric. Make up your mind, Matt Ford. I have a feeling if President Donald Trump was espousing and saying the exact same things that Tim Burchett was, you'd try and get him on the show. Wouldn't you, Hal? Because this is not an industry, right? What you're doing is not an industry. Yet you have still yet to show us any of your statistics since you started doing little rants like this, calling out generals and Air Force secretaries by name and saying that they are committing derelict of duty. Who told you to say that? because that didn't come from your brain. You didn't come up with that term all by yourself. Somebody told you to say it that way. Or you heard somebody say it that you really, really respect, and you decided to repeat that phrase in this rant.
United States Air Force leadership retaliates against those pilots.
How do they retaliate? How are they by not calling them back? That's retaliation. After listening to their story, after Sean Kirkpatrick is saying this,
opens the door for them to come and tell us exactly what they think they saw or know about.
You believe them?
I believe that they believe what they're telling me, and my job is it's not a question of belief, right? It's a question of what can I go research.
Investigating UAPs has...
It's not his job to believe, but it sure as hell is this guy's job to believe. He's bought in hook, line, and sinker.
What kind of country do we live in when a United States Air Force Brigadier General blocks members of Congress from interviewing those pilots?
We live in a country where we don't allow kooky representatives with zero permission to look or interview classified instances with pilots. Those pilots want to go talk to the right members of Congress. I bet they'd be able to.
Congressional men and women on both sides of the aisle trying to do their damn job. U.S. Air Force pilots reaching out to their elected representatives because their command is ignoring their concerns. It's a country whose Air Force leadership does not respect its personnel, the will of Congress, or the people it serves. So, this message is to the Secretary of the United States Air Force, Frank Kendall.
Listen to this.
You are a West Point graduate. The foundation of the ethical code at West Point is found in the Academy's motto, duty, honor, country.
This is coming from a 60-plus-year-old lighting designer in Hollywood. He's sending you this message about duty, honor, character, courage. You're a West Point graduate. Do the right thing. Who the fuck are you? Who are you? Who the fuck are you, Matt Ford? You goonie. But yet he'll say we don't have a right to demand things. But listen to this guy. Oh, it's okay to demand shit when it's for what you want.
The foundation of the ethical code at West Point is found in the Academy's motto, duty, honor, country. Your leadership, sir, is a dereliction of duty. You dishonor our country.
You dishonor our country. These are the same things that Lou Elizondo was saying when we called his bullshit out. Traitor, dishonorable, backstabber. This language is familiar. We've heard it before. This is not original thoughts coming from a concerned citizen. Look at this guy's face. So angry. He's so angry. The lighting tech from Hollywood that has bought dude, not only have these guys stolen the format of my show, right? Everybody was trying to be UCR now. Since UCR left, everybody's taken their stab at trying to be the next or new version of UCR. And this dickhead has stepped in and really gone full-blown woo kook train. We never did anything like this. Not even remotely close. Ever. We may have come close with Susan Goff, when we were being fed lies and BS about her. But we never said she dishonored her country and was doing a dereliction of duty. Never said anything remotely close to that.
You are a West Point graduate. The foundation of the ethical code at West Point is found in the Academy's motto, duty, honor, country. Your leadership, sir, is a dereliction of duty. You dishonor our country, the men and women who have sworn to protect it, and the Congress you answer to.
If I didn't know any better, it sounds like he is doing a call to arms. He's suggesting we should throw him in prison? Dereliction of duty? I mean, what is the penalty for dereliction of duty? Punishment can include sanctions up to and including the death penalty. Outside of wartime, the maximum punishment allowed is a dishonorable discharge, forfeiture of all pay and allowances, and confinement for 1 year, 10 years for service members receiving special pay. Is dereliction of duty a crime? Dereliction of duty is a uniquely military offense specifically intended by Congress to ensure the proper performance of duty within the military service. Service members' military duties relate to activities which are reasonably necessary to safeguard and protect the morale, discipline, and usefulness of the members. So are you calling for a death penalty, Matt Ford? Are you calling for a dishonorable discharge, for forfeiture of pay and allowances and pension for a man that you've never spoken to or talked to? For a man that this is the first time his name has been put in public like this, probably? A man that has no track record of going on podcasts and lying to people? A veteran? A West Point graduate? This guy has more honors and medals and bona fides than Lou Elizondo. Your hero. Your favorite boot to lick. The balls on this guy. I hope you guys get like, you're stoking an already crazed crowd.
As bipartisan support on Capitol Hill.
My priority is that we understand the full range of threats posed by our adversaries in all domains.
Multiple congressional committees have held hearings.
There is something there measurable by multiple instruments, and yet it seems to move in direction.
So Matt Ford was calling out Secretary of the Air Force Frank Kendall, Steve Long. That was a direct message to the Secretary of the Air Force. He didn't add anybody. He just hashtagged him. Oh, no, wait. Here we go. He did add him. Unreal, man. Just reading the comments here. Is it Ganja Squatch that you're talking to there, B. Baker? Ah, man, a lot of stupid people. Anyway, let's go back to this.
In directions that are inconsistent with what we know of physics or science more broadly.
And even the White House now weighing in.
We're not
This,
multiple instruments.
this statement here from Adam Schiff is just not accurate.
Posed by our adversaries in all domains.
Multiple congressional committees have held hearings.
There is something there measurable by multiple instruments, and yet it seems to move in directions that are inconsistent with what we know of physics or science more.
That's not true. There's not one video that has defied the laws of physics. Not one. Kirkpatrick hasn't seen it. So I don't know why they play a clip like this.
More broadly.
And even the White House now weighing in.
We're not saying what they are or what they're not. We're saying that there's something our pilots are seeing. We're saying it has had an effect on some of our training operations, and so we want to get to the bottom of it.
Top Democrats and Republicans have called for greater transparency, proposing legislation this month that would force the government to publicly release records on UAPs within 25 years of when they were created.
So a lot of these allegations crop up again and again over history.
Do you think extraterrestrial life is out there?
I think it's statistically unrealistic to think it isn't. I mean, given the vastness of the universe.
Are we going to find it on your watch?
Well, wouldn't that be fun? I mean, that would be probably the best outcome of this job.
Unidentified.
So there it is. There's Kirkpatrick. I think he did a pretty damn good job. Obviously, he had no control of editing. I wish these, and this not only goes for a story like this. I wish news stations would stop overproducing these discussions. I think an 8.5 minute, well edited, with very light footage and no introduction, or very quick introduction, no Hollywood movie clips, just sticking to the facts and having a somber, grounded conversation with a scientist, former intelligence official, about all of these incidents and what he's found versus what he hasn't found, what he thinks is going on with Congress. Does he think that does Congress need to do anything else with this office already in place? What does he think about Congress members quoting things from Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp and Bob Lazar? Talk about Bob Lazar. Did you guys call him into Congress? Apparently there's some people that haven't passed security checks. We discussed this a couple of weeks ago, that Bob Lazar fits this description perfectly. So, I mean, there's so many questions. There's so many things that can be discussed in 8.5 minutes. And a lot of this is just kind of one question, one quick answer kind of things. But I'm glad that at some point, it took a little while to get there, but at some point we got some just straightforward facts about this and what's going on and what evidence hasn't been found. And this very last moment here, we're like, wouldn't it be great?
Crop up again and again over history.
Do you think extraterrestrial life is out there?
I think it's statistically unrealistic to think it isn't. I mean, given the vastness of the universe.
Are we going to find it on your watch?
Well, wouldn't that be fun? I mean, that would be probably the best outcome of this job.
I mean, man, that last moment, he just seems really sincere. Like, I think he genuinely wants to get to the bottom of this. I don't know that 100% for sure. Yes, he's a former intelligence community guy, but he's also a scientist. And he's also working with NASA. He's not just by himself saying this. He's saying this with a team of people, independent thinkers, independent scientists. All of them have been harassed because none of them have found the proof of reverse engineered alien bodies and craft, because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. you guys are going to learn, some of you guys are going to learn this the hard way. Most of you guys watching right now, this late at night, already know this stuff. You guys are hip to the game. I'm catching up to it. But man, oh man, oh man, the more and more we peel back this onion, the more we figure out the true motivations. And boy, it's money. Surprise, surprise. Greed. Another microcosm of everything wrong with not only this country, but the world overall. Just this abundance of greed. There's greed in Hollywood, there's greed in restaurants, there's greed in fast food workers, there's greed with hotel workers, there's greed with gig economy workers, there's greed when it comes to independent contractors. Every single time hardworking people just want to do the right thing and be compensated for their work properly, greed comes into the picture. And I think this entire UFO narrative that has gotten way out of control and has now become a spectacle, like some people have already said they want a spectacle. They want people to think that aliens are visiting Earth because they want to sell more books. They want you to click on their bullshit breaking news posts. They want you to buy their movies. They want you to buy their t-shirts, their trademarks, download, get behind their paywall. That's all this is. And there's another level to that that's even more lucrative, and that's the let's get government contracts to pay for these things that are unfindable. Just like OSAP, just like Skinwalker Ranch. Holy cow, man. Just I recommend everybody share this article. This is an absolute must read. Obviously, share this interview with Kirkpatrick. I think there are good moments in it. I think it could have been a lot better. I think there's a lot more opportunity to add more clarity and levity to what our pilots are seeing. It'd be nice if the Aero office can bring out some eyewitnesses that at first thought, hey, I thought I was seeing something crazy, and it turned out to be this. I mean, there was a nice moment in that NASA presentation about that exact thing, where one of those scientists looking at the data also happened to have a brother who is a pilot in the Navy, and explained this really weird sighting that turned out to be something totally normal and terrestrial. It happens all the time, the pilots. I'm looking forward to some testimony like that counters the Fravers, that counters the Dietrichs, that counters the Brian Graves. Chad Underwood, I'd like to dive into his story some more. I'd like to hear from the other two pilots, because in the recreations, we always get there's an implication that there was two planes in this squadron. So if there was two planes in the squadron, that means there's 4 pilots total, and we've only heard from 2. I want to hear from the 2 other pilots. I want to get a distance in the gimbal footage. All of these things can be declassified. Those are the questions that I'd love a reporter to ask Kirkpatrick. None of these major news stations know this story well enough. This story needs to be probed by a Stephen Greenstreet, needs to be probed by an Art Levine, a Jack Brewer type person, a D. Dean Johnson. Like, I think the first major news station that hires a team of people, even a Steve Cambion, again, who's been screaming at the top of his lungs about this techno scam for a while now. Like, I think the smartest thing an ABC News or a News Nation, since they seem to be the ones who really want to cover this, be the lead on this story, the best thing they could do is hire a team. It doesn't even need to be a big team of 2 to 3 people that know the history of this entire timeline inside and out. And so this way, when you get a Jeremy Corbell, when you get a Dave Grush, when you get a Tim Galladay, when you get a Ross Coulthart, you can have a team of people that are feeding the perfect bone cutting, razor sharp questions that these grifters need to be exposed to. None of these news stations have that kind of expertise when it comes to the UFO discussion. They're relying on Corbells and Knaps and Linda Moulton Howe's and Nick Pope's, more Nick Pope's than Linda Moulton Howe, but they're relying on rock stars and former government officials that have turned out to all be lying, freelance journalists that got the initial story wrong and then got this second story even more wrong and less facts connected to it. I mean, there are so many things that when these opportunities arise on major news outlets like this to really grill the Leslie Kanes and the Ralph Blumenthals, to really grill the David Grushes, and put those claims to the absolute fire. I don't think normal news stations just don't know how to do that. They don't know the history well enough. They don't know what OSAP is. They have no clue. They have no clue what the acronym for ATIP is. They have no idea. They don't know the ins and outs of the legislation, most of them. They don't even know the simple stories of which pilot recorded what, which pilot was where, when what incident happened. Like, they can't even get that stuff right. When they play videos accompanied with their stories, it's always bogus videos that have been debunked. In this, they didn't do that as much. And thankfully, like, again, especially when it comes to the triangle drone footage, like, they had such a good clear image of it, man. Like, they caught it right from the Navy, which was refreshing to see, that George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell don't get free advertising when it comes to this
Office is investigating
bogus
more than
UFO
800
claim. And look how beautiful this footage is. Hands down, that's the clearest version of it that I've seen. So obviously a drone. It's just, it's so silly at this point. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why science is the enemy now, Zoltan. It's absolutely wild. Up is down, down is up. And I think that's exactly why, and we went over it this afternoon, that's exactly why the Pentagon put the kibosh on these congressmen coming into the base and asking questions of their pilots, because they're the type of congressmen that out the names of the generals and the brigadiers and the people who they had these conversations with. They don't know how to keep their mouths shut, and that's why they don't sit on any top security clearance committees, not one of them. Because they've got big mouths and nobody wants them on these committees, because for the most part, they're pretty stupid lawmakers. And I mean, for fuck's sake, I mean, today, this was absolutely amazing. Another great tweet from Jeremy McGowan. I'm gonna take these off here. So, you know, again, Timber Chet, if UFOs and UAPs don't exist, why is the intelligence community blocking my amendment? And how do they have the power to block it? And then he shows a picture of amendment to rules and committees offered by Timber Chet of Tennessee. And then Rep. Jim McGovern wrote, "What are you talking about? It wasn't the intelligence community. You voted to block your own amendment. Are you part of the cover-up?" Like, Jeremy's like, I think I'm going to make this into a poster and frame it. Chris Otis, which is Chris Lato, former F-16 fighter pilot turned into preacher / nutball. This could be your most valuable NFT if he minted this picture. I wrote, put it in the blockchain. Put it in the blockchain. Oh man, Art Levine tried to get a comment from me on this. He might have. I'm sorry, Art, if you tried to get a comment from me and I didn't get it. We could definitely talk over the phone if you're watching this show right now, Art. We could definitely talk over the phone, without a doubt, man. I'm gonna text you my number. So Art Levine has my number now, and I'll give him any quotes he wants because this article absolutely is amazing. It's the best thing. It's the best thing that's happened in a while to the people who've been really wronged by this conversation, by this entire techno scam, this entire grift. Hands down, one of the, I mean, maybe we could get Art on the show. Maybe we could talk to him and just go over the article and everything that he's uncovered and what got him started on this this journey. Yeah, incredible, absolutely incredible article. Really, really good stuff. And hats off to Cal Korf as well. I'm gonna follow him back. You guys did an amazing job on this article. And let's see now what happens with the FCC. Or the SEC, excuse me. Very interesting times. Very, very interesting times. Exciting. Absolutely incredible. You guys, that was our late night show. Nope, it's too loud. There we go. Turn it down just a little bit. There we go. All right. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out late night. I was not planning on doing this show. But great. I mean, we got in touch with Art Levine. Yeah. This was a good day. An absolutely good day. And it's going to get even better. And if you need help cutting through the spectacle, if you need help cutting through the bullshit, if you need help cutting through all of the mud, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell to this channel. And if you can help support and produce the show, links to the Patreon are down below. You guys, thank you so damn much. We found a new purpose for the show, and it's really, really great to start shows whenever I want, do shows whenever I want. I don't have to rely on anybody else to be here. I can just roll, talk, and inform you guys. And when I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. You know, I started the show off with apologizing to Steve Cambion because I know he's been saying this for a while. And I thought it was a little far-fetched. Not so much far-fetched, but I just thought it was pretty common. And I didn't think that the SEC was going to care, because there's so many other scams out there that they'd be paying attention to, but they do care. And it's nice to see that they care. And it's nice to see that people are filing complaints against lawmakers for wasteful spending. It's really encouraging to see that stuff. Anyway, you guys, thank you for being here. I love you all. Who knows when we'll see you next. Let's see what happens here in the next few days. This next week for me coming up is going to be really busy, just because I've got a show this week in LA. I've got a lot of rehearsing to do, a lot of script memorization. So, but yeah, this has been an absolute crazy day, an absolute crazy week so far. So yeah, anyway, y'all have a killer night. I'm going to go get some sleep. Y'all go get some sleep. We'll see you on the flip side. Peace.